Do you ever notice how the Bible seems sometimes to be filled with mixed messages? I mean, there are passages where Jesus plainly tells us that, hey, follow me and I'm going to take care of you. Our Father in heaven, he loves you. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to lose one of my little sheep. I'm the good shepherd. Nothing will hurt you. Angels will bear you upon their hands. These are all very comforting messages that seem to tell us that, hey, God's got our back. He loves us. He's not going to let something bad happen to us. And then we also get messages like today's gospel, where Jesus says, they, meaning the leaders after he's gone, are going to seize you, persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and to prisons. They will have you led before kings and governors because of my name. It will lead to your giving testimony. Read martyrdom, that's testimony in Greek. Remember, you are not to prepare your defense beforehand, for I myself shall give you a wisdom in speaking that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. Yeah, except they end up condemning them to death in the end, I think. But you will even be handed over to parents, brothers, relatives, and friends, and they will put some of you to death. Yeah, that's what I thought. It sounds like a bad Thanksgiving. You will be hated by all because of my name. Okay, that sounds actually pretty bad. I mean, is it the positive message or is it the negative message? Don't worry, everything will be fine. Or everyone will hate you and they're going to put you to death. Does Jesus have it wrong? Just in case we might be tempted to read today's gospel and say, hey, that sounds pretty bad. It sounds like God's not going to take care of us. After Jesus tells us that, hey, they're going to put you to death. Oh, don't worry, happy news at the end. He says, but not a hair on your head will be destroyed. By your perseverance, you will secure your lives. What's going on here? How can Jesus say that on the one hand, you're going to be hated, tortured, imprisoned, and put to death, but don't worry, not a hair on your head will be harmed? Yeah, those things seem inconsistent, especially when we look at like the martyrs who clearly trusted in God and his promises, and yet they ended up dead. They're giving martyrdom, witness, just like Jesus said. Our saint today is Saint Catherine of Alexandria. She is a great philosopher, a woman who debated with 50 pagans all at once and converted them to Christianity. And because of this, the pagan emperor got mad and, well, they decided they would torture her until she denied Jesus. It's literally what the gospel says. But we would expect then that God would intervene to say, well, not a hair on your head will be hurt. Well, that's interesting because, well, Catherine was first tortured with a wheel filled with spikes, or at least they wanted to, until she touched it, and apparently the wheel burst apart and all the spikes went everywhere and they killed everyone who was trying to kill her. Sometimes they try to kill the martyrs and it doesn't work the first time. But like often happens after they try to torture the martyrs and it doesn't work, well, they just behead them. Okay, so not a hair on your head will be hurt, and yet Saint Catherine of Alexandria gets beheaded. How do we reconcile that? I mean, I guess technically a hair on her head didn't get hurt because after you're dead, I guess, you know, do whatever you want. I'm super dead. Okay, how do we deal with this? Well, I think it's a matter of perspective. Notice that Jesus says in the end of the gospel that by your perseverance, you will gain your life. This can't be the life of this world because he says right before that, you're going to be put to death. They will kill you. They will behead you. And yet you will gain your life and not a hair on your head will be hurt? Well, how does that work? It's a matter of perspective. Notice that the life that Jesus is talking about can't be this life. In fact, that life must be so great that in comparison, this life is nothing. To have yourself tortured, to have yourself thrown in prison, to have all these bad things happen to you, to have family and friends hate you. Just bring up politics this year at Thanksgiving and see what happens. Even if all that goes horribly, even if it leads to you being beheaded and put to death after being tortured, that's nothing. It's as if you're not even hurt. Because if you persevere through all that, you will gain your life. And I mean the real life. If your perspective is heaven and the life of heaven, then it really doesn't matter what happens. The pains, sufferings of this life, sure, they're going to come. Jesus reminds us, hey, it's going to happen. Might even being put to death. At the very least, you're going to die at the end of your life. But if you persevere, if you don't give up your faith through all this, then you've really got nothing to fear, because life in heaven is better than anything this life on earth could ever give us, even if it ends in our being beheaded. Not a hair of your head, even your beheaded head, will be hurt. So live in that confidence today, brothers and sisters, and God bless you.